Hey there, welcome back to another episode. Now that you've watched some of our other videos, I wanted to take some time to actually go through my tool bag and what I use every day, whether it's installing audio systems, sound systems, pretty much anything we do. So let's get into that. All right, so I'm a backpack person. I like carrying around a backpack. It's very easy for me with all my tools, and I have some storage up front, some storage here, and then also I move to the inside. So starting in my front pocket here, I keep pretty much my common little bits and bobs. There's a lot of bits and bobs in here, but my snap-on precision screwdrivers, I don't leave or go anywhere without them. I actually have 2 sets of them, and they are great. They don't break off like other screwdrivers, and lifetime warranty. Stud Buddy, this is great. I always keep a couple of these. Very easy to locate the stud, and I actually stick them up so when we're doing speaker placements or whatnot, they just tell me exactly where my joists are or my studs are. So great little tool to have, and it never runs out of battery like the other stud finders. Then we have our Coax Stripper. So that's a little important piece to have. And then these are, well, apparently there's a key and some other little bobs, but they can just get put back in there. Moving to the inside, it's actually pretty neat today. First thing, we have our Ratcheting Crimper. This allows us to extend our speaker wires, whether you were using butt connectors or butt crimps, or put spade or ring terminals on the end of our speaker wires. So this does all 3 sizes, our yellow, blue, and red sizes. So I've been keeping this in my tool bag now, and I've actually used it a lot. So didn't have it before, but I have it now. Then my BNC and F-style crimper. So that goes along with my Coax Stripper. This allows me to put my BNC connections on, or F-style. We don't really do any BNC anymore unless we're repairing a really old system. So most of that's all category now, and you know, Cat 6 jacks or Cat 5e jacks. But this also does F-style, so if we are moving a cable service or putting in a cable box or doing anything inside of a rack or making our own coax cables at their custom length, we have the tool right here to do it. So that's a really handy tool to have. They actually sell cheaper kits. I think it's always a good thing to have in your toolkit. Moving over, level. I love my Torpedo level. It does 90% of my work. Sometimes I bring in a 3-foot level if it's like a really big TV mount, but I am very happy and content with a Torpedo level. An insulation knife. I don't know why I keep this in this tool bag. This is more for insulation, but whether we're doing our theater insulation or Sonopan or rock wool, this is really easy to slice through it and you know, get your things to the right size. This is our vertical cable. This is our jack punch from Vertical Cable. So this is a great tool. This is actually my second one of these. My first one broke, unfortunately. The blades just shattered inside, and I don't really know how you fix it. So I think it was like $50 or $60 to buy another one. So this is a great unit. Couldn't go without it, so had to buy another one. It doesn't really strip the cable, it cuts the cable. So I use my other Platinum, you'll see it in a second, to actually strip it. So this is a great tool. Definitely highly recommend that. This is my Simply 45 pass-through crimper. Now, everybody can get upset. I like pass-through jacks. That's just who I am. And there's so many people who don't do it, and then they, you know, you go to see other installers work and half the wires are hanging out and everything because they couldn't get it right. And I'm like, pass-throughs, they're just as good, if not better. They have the black ends now that we actually stick over top of the, you know, copper. So I'm a pass-through guy through and through. I've had this tool for 4.5 years now. I've replaced the blades once on it. They do need another replacement now, but these are my bread and butter. I actually bought a new pair of them, but I like my older pair even better, so I just keep replacing blades. Moving to cutters, I always keep 2, if not 3 sets of either diagonal or straight cutters, because you'll just be running in a rack and one set will be up, one set will be low. I always keep a good amount of cutters, whether we're cutting cable, I leave them at the boxes, upstairs, downstairs, wherever we are. So 2, if not 3 sets of cutters. My Knipex, these are the almost 2-inch like open end. This is like an open end wrench. They're like channel locks, but this is more like an open end wrench. They are fantastic. They lock onto a bolt. Even this little size here, they're great. I use them for the little gel-filled wire connectors, and these are perfect because they don't drag on it. They just, you know, push flat down, and it makes a perfect seal. So use these for little bolts or everything else, but I love Knipex and having them with me every day. They always come in handy for something. Here is our digital multimeter. We're not electricians, but if we need to test continuity on a wire, or if we need to locate a wire, or if we have to move up an outlet if we're doing a TV, you know, this is just a great tool to have. And clamp meter, so does everything we need it to do, and a good addition to the toolkit. I guess we can move to screwdrivers. So thick, short flathead screwdriver. You're not supposed to use them as a pry bar, but you know, they're screwdrivers. Everybody uses them as a pry bar. Then Robertson 1 and 2. These come in handy a lot, whether you're doing a little bit of electrical work or some outlets or things that we get involved with. I always find myself using Robertsons, and having longer shafts is super helpful. So 2 long shaft Robertsons. This is my ride or die screwdriver. I am a Snap-on fanboy, and I love Snap-on ratcheting screwdrivers. I just think they're fantastic. So I have some of my common bits right in the back there. They have a nice little waterproof seal. The ratchet mechanism is perfect, and I do get my lifetime warranty at the end of the day. So this is my like ride or die. I love that screwdriver. And then I keep a fat, long flathead in here. Not a pry bar, but we know what it gets used for. This is the heaviest screwdriver I keep in here, and I truthfully don't know why I keep it in here, because this is a multi-hex screwdriver, and it's great, but every bolt I ever use is nothing in this size. So why do I keep this here? Well, you know, because the one day I need it, I'm not gonna have it, and I'm gonna take it out, and then I'm not gonna use it. So that is in here. It weighs a ton. It's ridiculous. It's probably easier to have a little socket set than this behemoth, because it doesn't fit anywhere. It doesn't, whatever, I keep it in here. Phillips and a long skinny flathead. So this is probably a number 1 or number 2 flathead, probably number 2. And then a number 2 Phillips here that goes along. So 3 flatheads, 2 Robertsons, and 1 Phillips, and they're all Klein. I'm a Klein guy when it comes to electrical tools, so that's why everything here is Klein. Wire strippers, these are great. These are the yellow handle Kleins. These strip the jacket off of 12-2 and 14-2 wire, as well as strip 14 and 12 gauge wire on here as well. It also has the thread cutters here for screws, so if you do have to make a screw shorter to get an outlet into the wall, this is always really helpful. So I like these. You don't damage the conductors inside of the Romex jacket, like some of the other tools that you would use to strip, whether it be a knife or the side cutters. So these are a great tool to have. They do like 90% of my stripping. Needle nose, kind of just can't go without them. You have to have a set, and this is my set. Don't use them all the time, but they are good to have. The limited edition black American-made Kleins, they finally loosened up. Newer Kleins are, you know, rough, so these take a little bit of oiling and breaking in, but they are, they're like the hammer, the cutter, the side cutter. We use these for everything, so they're great to have too. A good sharp set. You know, normally replace these every year or so, just as much as you're cutting. Love to have these, and they're black, so I know that they're mine, because everybody else has red or blue or yellow or some other color. And then going back to a regular set of the Klein channel locks. You know, they're good for what they are. They're not like the original channel locks, but they're much slimmer, and I found much slimmer to be better for me. And they open up, and you know, they're all metal, and you know, they kind of work. They get to where they need to go. It may take 1 or 2 business days, but they will get there. So these are great. So just another thing to have here. And then actually, this is probably my most important bit set in this bag. This is every security bit. You get these at Home Depot. They're the Klein versions, and the screwdriver actually can stick through them for storage. So if you do want to store your screwdriver that way, you can go ahead. But this has every security bit that we use and any one of our cameras have on it. So highly, highly important. If you don't have this in your toolkit, it is normally a bad day, because you won't have the right Allen or the right set screw or the right security bit. So I always have one of these. If not, I also have one on the truck as well. So I always keep a backup. That's how important that tool is for us. And then in here is just a really messy bit set. I try to keep it organized, but it has, you know, what I use for wedge anchors and some of my hex drivers and some other little bits and bobs, but it's messy, but I know where everything is. And then, as I like to call it, my flavor of choice this week is the DeWalt Atomic Series impact driver. Very compact, it fits in a ton of spaces. I was actually this is relatively new, but I was actually looking at the hydraulic version because they're just so loud, and I'd rather have something that doesn't destroy my ears every time I use it. So this may get upgraded in the close future to the hydraulic version, but 3 speeds. Normally I just leave it on 2. It does everything I need it to do. Nice bright LEDs, so this is great. Some days it's Milwaukee I carry, some days it's Makita, but this is my my flavor this week or this month. And what else is in here? Oh, these. These are awesome. These are the Gorilla Grips by Bondhaus Tools. And they are, you know, your foldable Allen keys, but I've used a lot of other ones. They just don't feel like this. These are so compact, so light, and they feel great in the hands to use. So they have all of our common sizes here that we use. And I don't use these all the time, but they were light enough and small enough. They're a lot smaller than the Huskies or whatever other tools are out there. These are just my favorite. I got these at Northern Tool. You can also get them on Amazon, and they sell a Torx one as well, but it doesn't have security bits, so it didn't work for me. But these are just like my favorite. They literally weigh like nothing, maybe half a pound. They were into the tool bag, they went. And then a speed out kit. This again weighs nothing, but sometimes you strip a screw. It happens to the best of us, and this will help you remove it to the best of its abilities. And it does work. It works like 70% of the time. You know, the odds are better than trying to cut out a box or drill it out, and that's a lot of work. So if this will save me 70% of the time, I am all for having it in my tool bag. So that can go with the bits there. In the side pocket, I keep a Bosch, a nice little laser level here, laser measurer for that. So this is just a 100-footer. It comes in handy so often. Measuring rooms, getting dimensions, that's a great tool. I never leave home without it. Also in this side is my magnetic Klein Tools torpedo level. So this can lock on to beams or conduits, and this can help with actually measuring out, you know, what angle you're bending conduit to. Helps for some TV mounts. It's not the best, but it has pretty much plumb level, 45-degree level, and then a 30-degree level, which is pretty convenient. So for mounting, this is great. This also has a 45-degree level, but this one sticks a lot better, I found, since it has all these magnets. But that means it literally picks up every bit of debris that you're gonna have in your bag or the job site. So you can see, like, even the little piece of metal here that fell off, like, just picked it right up off the table. So another piece there. Trying to think. Oh, the Ubiquiti AI or Ubiquiti camera tightening ring. I keep that in here too, just in case we have to reposition and we don't have the original. Tape measure, you always gotta have a tape measure. That's just a 16-footer that does all of my normal stuff, okay? Because apparently I am very fond of levels. Here's another level. So same thing as this one. I don't know, I didn't even know I actually own 2 of these. There it is. So you have your 0, 90, 45, and 30. This is just bigger. The magnets aren't ruined yet. And it also has a groove up here that you can lay this onto your conduit. This helps with bending conduit. So my level fetish over here is 3 levels that are all torpedo style levels. Set of work gloves. I don't really ever wear gloves on the job site. They're just in here. Plates, heat shrink, that's always important. Auger bit, you never know when you're gonna need it. Hate running out to the truck for little stuff like this. I try to carry things that I use often, so this is good for running a couple wires through a hole, and I didn't have to run back out to the truck. I keep another little knife here. This is just a cheapie. Opening, prying, knife things. And other than that, there's like really just nothing else in there. So like I said, I'm a backpack fanboy. I keep everything together. It all works. Sharpie too. And then this bag here, this is my zip tie bag. So before, zip ties were getting lost all in the bottom, and now I just got one of these little Milwaukee bags here, and I keep all my zip ties here. And like I said, I always carry 3 diagonal or side cutters here, and there is number 3. So 2 blues and a red. A little bit excessive, but you always need cutters. Box, upstairs, belt, pocket. I use all 3 of these on a daily basis, oddly enough. Overall, that's kind of like a tour of what I keep in my bag that I carry into every job and do every job with, is with this bag here. So it is this little blue thing up here. I actually have 2 of these. I have one for power tools and one for hand tools. So when we give you a tour of the van, we'll show you how that's organized, and we'll actually show you the second bag along with this one. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. It was just a quick look into you know, what tools I work with and what I carry on a daily basis to make this company run. So have a good day, subscribe, leave any other questions you may have below, and we will continue to make more videos.